Hey, it is Rio, and we are going to go over your first assignment for this class. I call it Hello.js, but it's really, I should rename it probably, Hello, get your development environment set up, introduce yourself, but Hello.js seemed, or Hello World, right? That's the most common thing typically you do in a programming class for the first thing. But regardless, we're going to take a look. So before I jump over and show you what you need to do, I will say the one decision I've made for this class that I'm still iffy on is that I don't have discussion boards. I've really looked at it, and I think at this point you've had hopefully enough classes. If you've taken a couple from me, you know that has been a part of it. And I've decided that for this particular class that I really want to focus on the skill acquisition. But I am a little concerned. What I will end up doing through each week is creating what's happening this week and going over the information in a way that, and it will be a point of that if you wanted to discuss things, that would be a great point to do it. But I also will have a class hangout that I'll set up sometime before you come in. This video has been recorded before the start of the semester. So just FYI on that. And hopefully you all have, if you haven't already, acquired this textbook. It's listed in the syllabus. We're going to need it. We'll start getting the environment set up, and you'll need to have this to complete the setup. Or at least give you more instruction on it. You'll need that for the next assignment. So hopefully you're on that already. If you haven't for some reason watched my week 0 video, do that. So let's go ahead and move over to your first assignment in your week 1, right? So I've broken this class into, as I talked about, different areas. So this is your first learn assignment. And actually it could have gone in any of the categories because you're going to apply here as well. But if these are the steps that you're going to need to take, right? So we're going to make sure you have Git installed, and then you're going to create, unless you already have one, and you may already have Git installed, but a user on GitHub. Okay, and I've given you the link here for Git. GitHub I didn't, but I will include that just in case. But a simple Google search will do that. Set up your account on Free Code Camp, install Node.js. Now you might wonder why, and it's because we're going to end up in the next assignment using a Node package called Browserify to run a server. So FYI, that's why we're doing it. Determine which editor you're going to use for this course. I'll be using VS Code, as I've talked about before. If you're not already in love with an editor, I'd recommend VS Code. I really, really like it. I'm going to have you set up your base directory for our course. I'll recommend CIT93 FCC. And then I'm going to demo these steps. Well, not the account one, but the Git install, the Node install, the Virtual Studio install on my virtualized Windows, because I'm guessing many of you will have Windows, and sometimes so anyway, I'm going to demo it there. If you're on a Mac, you should be fine. All you would need to do is have Terminal, and that comes pre-installed with the Mac. Okay, so now here are the things you need to set up, and then once you do that, you're going to reply to this discussion board, just telling us, right, any challenges you might have run into in getting this done, a little about yourself and why you took the course. And also, by the way, in this I'll update here, tell us which editor you're going to end up using, and then what operating system. Are you a Windows or are you a Mac student? And then also update your Canvas profile. So if you come over here and click, you will see, matter of fact, we'll end before I start doing the setup. I'll show you that. Come over to your profile. Click on your picture, come into your profile. When you arrow a mouse over here, you get the pen to change it, and so you want to do that. Okay? All right. So back in the course, I'll go ahead now, and again, this is your week 1. If you didn't see the week 0 Get Ready video, check that out. There it is. And so this is where I was just at. So I'm going to switch over to my Windows installation. This is running VirtualBox. This is Windows 10. So normally my primary operating system has been Mac. So I think it's good for me to run both because you will be running one or the other, most likely. So I'm going to go ahead in here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab for my operating system, and I've already downloaded 32-bit Windows for 32-bit GIP for Windows. Hopefully you know how to find your operating system, but if not, you go to System Properties and you do that. So I've already downloaded it. Let me see here. I'm going to pause just for a second while I find it and just start the process. Okay, so I've downloaded it, and here's the 32-bit version. And I'm going to go ahead and say, yep. And then it's going to walk through the process. On the Windows Explorer, I'm going to have the git bash in there as well. But typically, and I'll show you how I do this. Oh, I don't have a lot of space on this side. I may have to free up some space there. This is probably one of the most important steps, especially for Windows users. You can choose whichever option, but typically I would say use git from git bash only. Just because then whatever commands we use that I show might show on the Mac terminal side, the Unix commands will work for you. So that way we kind of have a common understanding there. I'll just leave this as default. Check out Unix style commit check-ins. Yeah, I'll just leave that. It's a new one I hadn't seen. Leave the default there. Enable system caching and accreditation. Yeah. Okay. So that's the steps that I'll walk through. Most of those are default. I don't see anything that should throw it in there, so I'll pause while the install is happening. Okay, so that finished, and I'm not going to have it launch git bash because I just want to show you if you haven't seen it. I'll hit finished. Oh, it's going to start Edge, which I don't use. I recommend on whatever operating system you use Chrome. It's a great browser, especially for what we're going to be doing. Firefox is great as well, so either of those, but primarily I recommend Chrome. Okay, so now that I have that installed, now I'm going to minimize my browser and just show you. I'm going to come over here, and then you can go through, depending on how you have yours set up. I'm going to find Git here, and then there's different ways to access it. I recommend, again, Git bash, and I'm going to go ahead and pin that to my start. That way I always have it, and you can see it shows up here. So then there is, so if you hear ls, if you're used to Windows commands, ls is the equivalent of dir. And by the way, this is why I really like you to watch that, or look at that first chapter in the Big Nerd Ranch, because it gives more, a little more tutorial on command line, and in this case, git. Or any command line, but just the different commands, like ls, let's see, la. Right, so then you can see more detail, and you can see hidden files in that case. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do git -- version, very common command. So you can see that for me I'm running 2.13.3 for Windows 1. So that's that step. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is now I'm going to go to Node.js and download that. So let me just show you, and then I'll pause while it's happening. Nodejs.org, which I don't think I've installed it here, so even if I haven't, that's fine. So I will download, recommended for most users, I'll download this 6.1.1 for most users. So we're downloading that. Oh, it's pretty quick. Now, you could actually install Node from the command line, but I think based on what I've read, it's best to install it from your browser, because once you get Node, then we move over into the command line and go from there. There we go. Should be going anytime now. Hang on, let me check that out. Alright, so I'm not sure why. It's just a little slower when you're running a virtualized environment like I am. So I'm just going to go ahead and install it. Agree to the terms here, and just let it do probably the thing it wants to do. I may actually end up having to free up some space here with all the installs I'm doing because I realized on my environment I don't have much space. But this is the node install, so I'll just pause while it finishes up here. Alright, so that finished up. So now what you can do is go over to your Git Bash. And I actually think I'm going to go ahead, because I know on Mac this is a very common thing you have to do, is it's important to close out we call it terminal on the Mac. Here you call it, it's just your Git Bash, right? But here I would go node, I think it's dash dash version as well. Yeah, so you can see I'm doing 6.1.1. Okay. All right, so those are the two steps. Let me remind myself of the other thing I have to do now. I already have my free CodeCamp account, but you can just go to that website. The nice thing about many websites, and I'm guessing you all have seen this, is you can use other logins, right? So it's called a federated account. So you could use your GitHub, right? You're going to need that anyway. I have actually, and I noticed they've changed this to where, because I had used my Gmail, my Google account, not Gmail, but my Google account. You can use Facebook, you can use any, it doesn't matter to me what you use, but you need to set up your free CodeCamp. Okay, that will be the next item due, so you want to get that done. All right, so now I've done all those things, so now it's time for me to do install VS Code. Obviously, I don't have to do this. I was just showing you how I'm running it. Okay, so that'll be my next step here. I would just type VS Code. But this is where, again, I'm not going to dictate which editor you use. I definitely recommend VS Code. Stable version. Let's see how big it is. See if I run into any size issues. 37 meg, not that bad. Okay, it seems like a pretty quick download too. I have pretty nice internet here. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up, right? Yep, I'll let it do its thing. It's going to go through its setup. I accept the agreement. VS Code. Yeah, this is actually, they do allow you to register, actually I don't think it's here, but you can actually run VS Code from the command line, which is kind of cool. I think I'm actually going to do this. I can change it later. I'm going to do open with code, and this just allows me to, in the context of Windows, open things in code. So that'll be kind of nice. There we go. Cool, so that'll finish installing, and again, I think it's going so quickly I probably don't have to pause here to get that done. Okay, maybe I do. Alright, so that completed. Took a few more minutes for it to complete. And so when you first come into VS Code, there's a nice interface here for really learning VS Code. This is just the welcome. You have some nice keyboard cheat sheets, awesome introductory videos. Definitely recommend those as well. But basically, here's your file explorer, right? So when you can create, you can do almost everything you can do in a Windows Explorer or in a file explorer inside Mac. Finder inside Mac you can do here. Like you can create directories, you can find stuff here. This is really the integration of GitHub too. I'm going to recommend for the first part of this class you use the command line, and then later if you want to switch to this, that's cool. And here is where you can install extensions into your application, into your code editor, and man, is there a bunch of, I'm sorry, no, this is the debugger. Sorry, this is where you do the extensions, and there is a ton of them. Browserify is in here as well. We'll look at one of these in the next assignment, but just kind of look through here. But I definitely say, if whatever editor you're going to use, right, become familiar with it. If you aren't already in love with one, like I said, select this one. I think it's a good choice. Okay, so now I think we're actually kind of almost at the end of at least what you need to do here, right? So here's the thing, right? So the reason I need you to, this is actually one of the steps, and I'll modify this to say this. You need to communicate with me what your GitHub username is, because what I will need to do is set you up a private repo on GitHub. Okay, so that's why in step here, and I'll modify it, but make sure, and you can just email me, right? Just email me directly and tell me what your GitHub username is. And by the way, the sooner the better you do that, because I will go ahead and create your repo on the private repo, and that way you're ready to roll for next week's assignment. Okay, so the sooner the better on that particular step. I hope this video has helped you out. These couple of steps here are important to get you set up as far as your system goes, and it's really probably helpful once you complete this and you do. Now, I actually didn't say how much writing, so let me just say it here: 150 words about yourself here, or about answering that, any challenges you ran into, why are you taking this class, anything else you'd want us to know, making sure you've updated your Canvas profile, making sure you've emailed me your GitHub username so I can set up the private repos. Right, and then in there, right, I've already said, tell us any challenges or any areas that, if it's completely new to you, if you've never used GitHub, that's cool, right? How much HTML and CSS experience have you taken? Other classes? Have you done other things? So I think this is just a good way to get started. But now, for me, I'm going to now look at the next assignment and go through and show you what you need to do to complete that one. But I would tell you again, Chapter 1 here, and actually Chapter 1, oh, hit the microphone there, Chapter 1 through, I was wrong about this, actually Chapter 1, so 1 through 5 in this book is really, I will have expected you at least to reviewed HTML and CSS, because we'll end up pulling the project code from their site for the next homework, and that will be really, that's when you'll be taking their code, placing it into your local repos, doing the adds into your repos, and then pushing it up to GitHub. So we'll do all that next, but I'm just giving you the heads up. The sooner you get into that, the better. Okay, but definitely Chapter 1, and hopefully just review at least 2 through 5, because we will start on Chapter 6. All right, talk to you later. Bye.